all of you, and especially to my old colleagues from Tamil Nadu who have joined here, Professor Goodlingam, I think Krishnan, then also highly obliged and happy that the Principal Secretary of Government of Uttarakhand have joined us for this program, and he made a very scintillating speech, and I hope you had the opportunity to listen to it carefully. And of course, all our participants, all our SMTs who have come from these three states and one from UP. So I have, to some extent, some linkage with each one of you, which goes back many years. Of course, Uttarakhand is my place of childhood. My first trek is Haldwani to Nainital as a small child. Jammu Kashmir was my kind of awakening recently after joining this ministry, and I had the opportunity to spend some time with the people of Gurez and spend some time in their houses as well, in the tribal houses. So some very fond and learning moments, if I may say so, with these people. And of course, Himachal was the place where when Mrs. Sunila Basant was the CS and I was a relative youngster or head of department at that point of time in Tamil Nadu, we ran one of the first similar workshops which you are undergoing today in Himachal. So at her request, because we had done some work with her when she was the drinking water secretary and when she became the CS of Himachal again. So she called me up and asked, can we do something similar in Himachal? So we ran a similar workshop for about 5 days in Shimla with some of your colleagues from a few departments. So I should say that I have some connection with each one of you, each one of your states relevant to this program. Now the question would be for all of you is why we are here, what are we trying to do, what are we seeking? And if at all we feel that we need to do something, how do we intend to do it? So these are our challenges, these are our thoughts. I'm sure the same thoughts would be amongst all of you. So first of all, why such a program? We have been since independence on an average spending around 1.5 to 1 lakh crores every year on tribal welfare. So this is the Government of India position, all the ministries put together. If I add the state TSP program, so that's another 1.5 lakh crores. So easily 2.5 lakh crores is being or is supposed to be budgeted to be spent on tribal welfare across the country since independence. And if you look the situation, any marker for that matter, it is very clear that the tribal areas are way behind the mainstream in every indicator possible. So let's look at the celebration of the reduction in the poverty levels in the country. And all of us are aware, it was in the newspapers also, that 11% of the mainstream alone is under the poverty line. Whereas if you look at the tribal data, the last disaggregated data was for 2015 and some indirect data for 2020. The numbers would be between 50 to about 36%. So we are way higher in terms of poverty levels or expenditure levels, as expenditure as an indicator of poverty, than the mainstream. Now, if you look at dropout rates, if you look at infant mortality, if you look at health indicators, lifespan, everything for the tribal areas is worse off than the mainstream. So this would tell us that despite efforts, despite a plethora of schemes, despite interventions, we don't seem to have made a dent in any of the major indicators which indicate whether the lifestyle or the lifespan or the quality of life of any of our tribal areas is better than the mainstream. And surprisingly, this impact has also now creeped into basic assets. So if you look at the number of people without pakka houses, those living in kacha houses, Nearly 70% odd, 70 odd percent of the total number of people in India with kacha houses belong to either SCs or STs. If you look at access to, let's say, Kisan Samman Nidhi, the recent last 2-3 years, this has been a major thrust of the government. So we will also find that again, that the percentage of people accessing Kisan Samman Nidhi amongst tribals should not be more than 1%. So consistently, we will discover that there is a gap between the mainstream and us, even in terms of access to what are traditionally known as our focus schemes or targeted schemes. Therefore, it is very clear that the existing architecture is not working. So what have we tried? We have tried new schemes. There are a huge number of schemes, both at the center and state government level, and beautiful schemes, one better than the other. So there are a huge number of schemes. They don't seem to have worked. We have thrown money at the problem. At every leak in the pipe, there is a money thrown at it. But that also doesn't seem to have solved the problem. So the only thing we haven't tried, and which possibly could be one of the key elements in this conundrum to solve this problem, is we have not looked at the service delivery mechanism. We have not looked at our governance institutions. And most importantly, we have not looked at ourselves. So this is Adi Karam Yogi. This is our attempt to show a mirror to ourselves, each one of us individually and all of us collectively, and then at the institutions we belong to, both the central government, the state government, the specific departments we belong to. Why is this necessary? This is necessary from my mind for 2-3 reasons. First of all, the very enormity of the task. When I sit here, at the moment, even if I look at the small microcosm, we have about 2 lakh tribal villages, and 1 lakh villages out of these are the larger villages with definitely majority of tribal population. Do I have even an inkling of the names of these villages? If I am honest, I have no idea at all. These are numbers. I asked the same question to our secretary present here from Uttarakhand. And I can assure you, since I have been in a similar position, he would not have an idea. I asked the same question to the district magistrates who have joined us. And I can assure you, they will also be in a similar position. The second step, if I don't know these places, how do I know their problems? So I am responding to crisis, I am firefighting. Somebody is able to get my attention, somebody is able to demand, and I give my attention. So if I don't know the problems, how will I ever know the solutions? So I think I have the numbers of years of experience to be able to honestly tell you now that I have no inkling of these solutions. No idea at all. What should be the answer for a particular village's problems? We all are talking at the big level, at the overview level, at the larger, bigger picture. But we don't have. The honest truth is we don't have an inkling of what is the solution for a village in a Gurez in Jammu Kashmir to a Haldwani in Uttarakhand. I have no idea. Or in some small village somewhere in Himachal. So then what do I do? What is the answer? Probably the answer lies in understanding and accepting the fact that governance, government, policy, and value creation all happen at the cutting edge. They don't happen in my office, they don't happen in your secretary's office, they don't happen in the DM's office. For the citizen, government is what their interface is at the village level. They don't understand the differentiation between departments. They don't understand the huge amoeba-like shape of government which keeps transforming from one department to the other. They understand policy, they understand government in their interface with the last mile, or the person who is in the village at the end. So therefore, policy also is happening. Tendler, a great philosopher in the 70s, had written for US, forget India, that policy is made and unmade every day at the cutting edge. How is that? There are matters of choices. Whenever resources are scarce, let's take ration shop. So you have a supply of kerosene which has come in, or rice which has come in, which has to be distributed. But this supply this time is only equal to the 80% need of that village at that moment. The remaining will come maybe in the last week of the month. This is the first lot only. Now, whom does he distribute this rice to on priority? Who gets this? That's a choice. That's a decision. Who's making this policy? The man on ground. So therefore, this value zone, this person at the cutting edge decides how your governance system is, how it is performing, how the people perceive your government, how the people perceive your department. On the other hand, as I also said, we believe government is these many departments. For the citizens, all of you are one. They find no reason why a Anganwadi department should be different from a health department, should be different from a Patwari. Where is that one single point where government meets each other and says, we are the government, you can come to us for anything under the sun. We won't ask you to go to the next department. Where is that one single focal point which is government as a whole? We talk of that phrase government as a whole, but what does it mean in practice? What does it mean to the citizen on the ground? So on one side, we don't understand, we don't believe, we don't empower what I believe is the value zone at the cutting edge. On the other side, we believe we are divided in the silos of departments. We don't look at ourselves as one whole government. So the bridging of the two probably is the answer to our problem. If we can bridge the two from district and below, we may have some solutions. The solution lies in empowering the cutting edge. The solution lies in motivating the cutting edge. The solution lies in ensuring that their voice is heard. Solution lies in understanding and accepting that they have more solutions than we have sitting in offices. They face the problem. They have the questions. They therefore also have the answers. So can we create an environment in which not only we enthuse and empower them, we also listen to them. We also respond to them. We give them that space. We give them the tools to be able to answer to them. So that is part one. Part two, and when we are doing it, can we break the shackles of silos? Can we do it as a whole department in itself? Whole of government in itself, all of us put together. If we can do that, then we have to some extent substantially solved the problem of governance. But this is the supply side. We are also working with tribals who are not demand focused. They are not like the other halves of the village. We also should understand that at the current, the numbers I've shared with you, some examples, shows us that these are the groups which have been left out. They are our last mile. Or like some colleague of mine said, they are our first mile. They should have been in a mindset from the very beginning. Why? Because of TINA. For them, we are TINA. There is no alternative other than us. For everyone in your villages, in your cities who is well off, there is an alternative. There is the private sector, there is your higher ups, there is the DM, there is the secretary, there is the chief secretary, whom they can reach out, depending on their wealth and power. But for these people, there is no alternative. You are the only ones whom they can depend on, whom they can reach out to. So if you also don't listen, if you also don't respond, if you at the cutting edge don't react, then where do they go? And on the other side, why were we created as a public institution? So as I just said, the haves, the people who have power and money and pelf, they don't need you. So we would not have created a bureaucracy. Our forefathers and constitutional leaders would not have created a bureaucracy imbibed or written down in the constitution for the people who were haves. They have written this down for the have-nots. So if the entire bureaucracy was created, if our salaries are dependent, if our posts are dependent on the have-nots, how is it that when we function, they are the last mile? I'm also using the word last mile. Why are they not the first mile? If they are my paymasters, if they are your paymasters, why are they not the first mile? So this change is essential. This understanding is essential. That but for these have-nots, we have no role in governance. We have no role in government. This country doesn't need us. Since there are have-nots, since we have to bridge the have and have-nots in every village, we have a reason to exist. Therefore, our perspective has to be, how do we ensure that we are serving the have-nots? How we are creating space for them? And then comes the issue, if we have this understanding behind us, then how do we ensure that we are able to transfer it on ground, we are able to convince our colleagues at the block and district block and below village level? So at the village level, we would like to look at few things which we have to ensure that every village responds to, every village has. Some are intangible, therefore we would like to put some tangible creation so that we can justify that something has been done at the ground. But the most important thing would be intangible. What is that? Having a dialogue with the community, helping them learn their rights, helping them understand their claims from government, the benefits they can claim, what is due to them. So this dialogue with the community on the supply side. Similarly, the dialogue with the community to understand what do they want. This is okay. We have sitting here created 2 mega programs, PM Janman and Dharti Aaba. But the honest truth is we have created because of lack of imagination. I have no way of knowing what the village wants. So what I have done is a lazy exercise of finding out the gaps done in a survey by the Rural Development Department in 2020 and said, okay, these are the gaps, we are going to fulfill them. But an ideal environment would have been that each of my village level workers, each of my block level workers got an opportunity to say that I have had a dialogue with this community over the last 1 month, this is their needs, please invest in these needs. So starting today, I am promising to you that henceforth, I am an angel investor, you are the startup. Every village is a startup for us. With the community, please have dialogues with the community. So through you, I am sending this message right down to the block and below level. Please have this dialogue with the village communities and come up with what is their vision for the next 5 years. Where do they want their village to be 5 years from now? So what are their priorities? Do they want a school more than they want a road? Or do they want a road more than they want a health center? Or they are more focused on services rather than creation of assets. They want the doctors to come twice a day. What is their ask? What is their vision? What do they want? And once you have created this vision, this village level vision, we are there, we have the resources to fund and saturate this vision. So once your field level officers, through your cascading program, are sitting with the community and every village has a vision which they can paint on the walls, I think my colleagues will be sharing that with you in whichever form, so that a dialogue, a discussion happens in the village. That vision is something we will invest in. We assure that we will invest in that vision and make it happen. That is the new Dharti Aaba for all of you. That saturation of that vision is our responsibility. So that is point 1. This creation is not a meeting. This is, you will have to step in, your counterparts at the village and block level have to step in and sit with the community for days together. Dialogue with them at habitation level. Share with them what the government does, what the government thinks it can do, what is the best practices happening in the state. So what can they pick from there? So create that interest, be a catalyst. And from that should emerge a vision. We will have NGOs also supporting the ground level officers, but I have more faith in the officers than the external organizations. The second thing is, how do we structure our dialogue, or how do we structure our interaction with these villages, with the community? So you must have heard a lot about single window centers for industry. Every state has to invite industry to attract investment. But we don't have a single window center for any of our villages. So can we create a single window center for our villages? In every village. What is the single window center? It is a place for information and knowledge of all government programs. So the central and the state government programs be displayed there visually, so that the community becomes aware of what is there. What is this space? The space is something donated by the community. So it could be under a peepal tree or under a banyan tree. It could be in the temple or any such religious place, an outpost of that. It could be preferably in somebody's building, not a government building. We are not going to create a building for this purpose. Existing building, fine. But something to be contributed by the community, so that they have also skin in the game. So in this place, our block level officers are the ones who will be visiting. So there can be a schedule, all of us together at the block level, these 6-7 departments as a converged entity, be visiting these villages. How do they visit? How is it possible? At the block level, each of the departments definitely have a jeep. And you are 7 of you. A group of 7 departments are working together. So if all the departments share their jeeps once a week, this group of 7 is endowed with a jeep every day. So this block level team, the effectiveness of this block level team immediately increases, and they can go and visit all these 7 departments, more villages. So let's say in the morning they are visiting village A at 10 a.m. So it's a predetermined schedule written there. At 10 a.m. we are going to visit this village, and at 12 noon we are visiting the village B, and in the afternoon we are visiting village C. So this is displayed there. Your visit schedule of the 7 departments together is pre-published. So the community can gather there in advance. So it's a win-win for both. You don't have to go door to door, and the community does not have to wait for you not knowing how to reach you. Your mobile numbers are displayed. Your names are displayed, so the community knows you as individuals, not as an unknown entity, that face of government which nobody recognizes. You are a human being. You have your own quirks, you have your own motivations. They learn to appreciate you as an individual. So the second is creation of the single window center, which is very critical to us, which is very important. It's a reflection of our commitment to our dialogue with the community. And it is also important to ensure this convergence amongst ourselves of 7 departments visiting together. And soon you will find, and I've seen it in my experience, that they start answering for each other. The departments start answering for questions for each other. In the afternoon, you will be, I'm told, getting an opportunity to talk to some of my old colleagues. So somebody is from veterinary department, somebody is from irrigation department, somebody is from drinking water department. All unrelated departments, and they are, in all probability, thanks to your workshop, they are going to meet each other after 5-10 years. Of course, they keep interacting. But they were part of this process, like you have started on your journey today, 2 decades back, belonging to very different departments. Forget them at officer level. Even I know them after 20 years. I still talk to them and I know them. So that is the level of convergence you can create across 10, 20 departments. Once you start practicing this, this is not, you don't need to have any great effort to do it. That convergence has great benefits. I'll give you an example. We had the largest flood of or most vicious flood of the century in 2005 in the south. So 100-year flood it is called. And when huge amount of water bodies were getting broken because of the high amount of flood, you found that normally it is the responsibility of the irrigation and water department to ensure that the flood doesn't happen. PWD in many states it is called. But you cannot reach so many villages, 12,000 village panchayats in a big state. So obviously they were overwhelmed. So what happened? Slowly all these line departments who were party to this process stepped in. they started working on behalf of this engineering department, on behalf of PWD, and doing, since they knew it, they had been working together for the last year plus. They knew the drill. How do you prevent a breach? How do you solve a flood? It's not science, it's only responsiveness, going beyond their normal duties. And I'm happy to tell you that on one side we had huge amount of floods. On the other side, we had this program running in about 12,000 villages, which had about 5,500 tanks. Only one of those 5,500 tanks breached these lakes. Out of 5,500 tanks, only one flooded the village. This was the power of this group. There was no direction from government to do it. There was no order. Nobody was ringing them up. No chief secretary or DM was ringing them up and asking them to do it. In 5,500 villages, officers not belonging to the primary department in a flood situation, which is dangerous, have gone beyond the call of duty and done the work of a different department. Look at the power which has been unleashed. Why this is powerful? Because we have on an average about 10 officers in every village. And a typical village has about 300 households. So for 30 households, we have one officer. May it be a teacher, may it be a VHN, maybe an Anganwadi worker, could be anybody. So that means one officer has only 30 households. That means 30 cups of tea alone is required to connect with the community. 30 days, 1 cup a day. एक दिन चाय पीने से आपको उसकी पूरी जनन पत्री पता चल जाएगी, उसका पास्ट, फ्यूचर, एप्रीहेंशंस, जॉयस, aspirations, सब. So if a government servant has a cup of tea a day with one family, you will have the entire community at your beck and call. You will know the questions, you will know the answers. That is what we want. That is what we hope. That is the power we want to unleash. And you are the conduit, you are the pipeline through which we can unleash the power. You have been chosen. You are special. You are pioneers. In each one of your states, you have been considered to be making the difficult possible, making the impossible possible. And therefore, you have that extra burden on you. This is not a regular training, no. You are not coming here to receive anything. You are coming here to equip yourself that वो जो 1.25 लाख वाली बात है, you have to go and influence 1 lakh and more. How do you do that? Equip yourself, think about it, reflect. Reflect on what I am saying. I am not saying that I am telling you the gospel's truth, but reflect on the parts I have said. Reflect on what your facilitators will be talking to you about. Explore that, think about it. Promise to experiment it. In that reflection, you will find your own answers. Each individual will have their own different answers, different methodologies based on your personality, your experiences. But one objective is common to all of us. We have been given this opportunity to be, you are my pioneers, without doubt. So the work is not easy. Otherwise, I would have been going and doing it in every village. I believe you can do it better than I can. For your state, you are much better equipped than I am. You are much better equipped than the Principal Secretary Uttarakhand. For your villages, because you know them better. But what is the point of knowing these villages better until and unless you decide to do something better about it? So this is that platform, this is that opportunity to do something about it. It is not very often. In 35 years of my career, I have not got this opportunity. I have now been blessed to provide this platform to you, to give you this opportunity. Can you make something out of it? So don't think of it as a training. Don't think I am going to get bored very easily. I'll start scrolling my cell phone. First of all, Koodlingam, etc., please remember all the phones should be outside the rooms. I think we have forgotten that rule. Heavens are not going to fall. India knows how to take care of itself. So people can have a look at their phones during tea breaks and lunches. So what you are going to imbibe from this process is each one's individual journey. So I'm reiterating, there is only it's a buffet. There are so many things spread out. You will have to pick and choose what you take back, what you taste, what you like. But my expectation is whatever you do, you will come up with your own solution, with your own practice, and how you will go back and influence the district master trainers, how you will go back and influence the village level officers, the block level officers. Because we are depending on you. You are our hope. So there is a reason all of us have gotten together and are investing in you. Your state has sent you. From Jammu and Kashmir you have come. There's a huge hope. I have personally a huge amount of hope, and I'd like to invest larger time in Jammu Kashmir also. The citizenship has this hope from us. Can we transform governance there in a difficult time? And the beauty is that whenever times are difficult, even a small amount of effort is reflected, is enjoyed, is celebrated that much more. The same amount of change in Tamil Nadu, in the south of India, would not even get a whisper out. उनको आदत है, वो तो होता रहता है. But that small step in Jammu and Kashmir is that much bigger. इसलिए आप लोगों के ऊपर, आप लोगों से दरखास्त है, आप लोगों के ऊपर एक्स्ट्रा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है. ये वहां फेल नहीं हो सकता. फेल आउटकम जो भी आए, हमें आउटकम से कोई लेना देना नहीं है, क्योंकि ये जिंदगी है, हकीकत है. इसमें कुछ अच्छा होगा, कुछ नहीं होगा. बट हमारी तरफ से एफर्ट, उसमें कमी नहीं हो सकती. हमारी तरफ से जो मैसेज जाना है उसमें कमी नहीं हो सकती. So once again, I like to tell you that for me, you are my pioneers, you are the leaders, and we are looking at you for creating more leaders in the system. And I am sure you will not let us down. You will have something for us to be very proud of. And this is my hope. I hope this 7 days is a very good exploration exercise for you. Please take it that we are not wanting to share any knowledge with you. We are sharing experiences. We are fortunate in this workshop. My colleagues have been able to get some of the other people who have undergone this process for the last 20 years, who are like you. Some of them are retired chief engineer, very senior people. When they started, they were just assistant executive engineers. To listen to their journey, ask them. This is not a small journey. When a guy had started as assistant executive engineer, ended up as engineer-in-chief, higher than the chief engineer. And he is a party to this process for his entire career. कुछ तो होगा इसमें, कुछ तो satisfaction मिलती होगी. तो ask them these questions. उन्होंने भी वही पॉलिटिशियन को झेला है, वही करप्शन देखी है, वही ग्राउंड में एपैथी देखी है, वही डीएम देखा है जो उनकी सुनता नहीं है. सब क्रॉस करके उन्होंने अपने डिपार्टमेंट में फिर क्या किया? कुछ बदलाव लाया? अपने में कुछ बदलाव लाया? ये सवाल जरूर पूछना. So all the very best, and it is my pleasure again to have you all as part of Adi Karam Yogi. ये हमारे लिए एक opportunity है. We have not to let go of this opportunity. The outcomes, the results may vary. I have no worries with that. But I should have the confidence that each one of you in this room and subsequently the people you train will not let go of the effort. The effort is all prime. Thank you very much. Congratulations for being chosen. You are our leaders, and I hope to see the best amongst you interacting with the Honorable President or the Honorable Prime Minister on November 15 this year. So the best districts, the best trainers, the best individuals who have made an impact across the country in very large numbers will get an opportunity. In the best states, in large numbers, not very small numbers, in very large numbers will get an opportunity to interact face to face and share their story with the highest dignitaries of this country.